they came to slay, not to play.
They've come to slay. Well, listen, also on Watch What Happens, we make many appearances on our friend Jeff Lewis's show. You said Jeff doesn't say anything bad about Andy, but he likes to move it along. Well, listen, I'm not Jeff Lewis, so tell us something here about Andy. You can talk about Andy all you want here. Tell us something about Andy we don't know that we would be shocked.
We're not that tight. I mean, we have this wonderful, I love that he loves what I do, and invites me on, to do what I do, and that we have the same kind of sense of humor,
Yeah,
same
totally.
things, kind of laugh, so, but, I don't know any secrets or anything like that. And, of course, if I did, I would not say anything, but, no, he's just, he loves to laugh. And I think he likes people who are funny, and, he's the best ringmaster, circus ringmaster you could ever have,
It can't be easy to host all of those reunions. What about Jeff Lewis? I mean, you've been on his show many times, love listening to you guys together. What is it about you just have the same sensibility?
Well, the funny thing was I'm really into, I watch HGTV, I know all the shows, Love It or List It, Property Brothers, Hometown. I mean,
do you watch the $1 Million Listing and the Selling Sunsets and all of those too?
I do watch them, but I'm not avid, because I got to look for them. They're not on HGTV. But whenever I come upon, I always stay on it because I'm really into home makeovers. Yeah. And being a homeowner myself, I don't know why I get, I just think to myself, okay, this wall needs to come down. We're going to push this out. I'm just home, I just love these shows. I love turning a dilapidated home. There's a home on my block that was from the 1920s, and it was so dilapidated. And I just was obsessed with whoever's going to buy this. And it was up, and it was a teardown. They let this house go, but it was like a French kind of small chalet type. It was out of a fairy tale book. And this guy bought it, and he said to me, the historic society is making him, he can't build onto it, nothing. They're lucky that someone bought this, and he had to completely keep everything and just rebuild it. And it is so gorgeous. And I keep going up with my dogs when I walk my dogs and looking inside to see what they did. And they did such a good job. I'm into this. And so I saw Jeff years ago at the gym, and he goes, hey, would you like to come? And, when I was watching his show, and I didn't really do any podcasts or anything. And I didn't know how I would be on a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes me as myself, unless it's like this and I don't see the audience, I'll get intimidated and scared, so I'm never going to be totally comfortable. But so I did this podcast, and I was thinking to myself, it feels like you're in someone's kitchen. This is great, and so I went back and I did it again, and I was just like, wow, this is so interesting. It's so much easier to be yourself, but it's also scary because it's easy to be yourself. You know what I mean? You gotta be careful too, to me, I'm just talking to you. And yet I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm not just talking to you. But what I don't see, like Teresa, what I don't see, don't hurt me.
It's all safe, right? You're just talking to me. Just think of it as just talking to me.
We're at the kitchen table. We've got an Entenmann's cake.
We're having our coffee.
We got coffee. Nobody gets hurt.
What do you think of, I don't know, did you see this yesterday that they announced that there's going to be 2 Real Housewives of New York? I mean, it's a little bit of a convoluted statement.
Well, it's almost like incubating a new, because there's so much, I think, with the Housewives, because these women have been on for such a long time and people don't want to see them go, but yet I'm sure, you know, how do you turn that over? So how about if we keep that on and incubate this? And then we can introduce new people, young people that are all starting first grade at the same time. You know what I mean? Instead of putting a new person in where these people have been, and it's going to be very, very hard for them to acclimate. You know, I almost think I understand why they would do it, to start fresh, you know, and then keep what people want to see that are used to, whatever. Um, but I also would imagine the money's got to be crazy that, you know, after all this time, but they're also
Yes.
in the network a lot of money too. So, you know, but I think I can understand it. Like, let's start fresh and yet keep, if they can, the old guard to for the people that don't want it to go. You know, these women to go.
That's what I think. I mean, it kind of makes sense to me too. And I think the money was a factor. I think the money was costing a lot. And how do you get rid of one, keep two? It wouldn't, this makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, like I crack up at like Ramona. Oh, that Amy, the girl Amy who does Ramona, cracks me up. And actually, her podcast, I was with Jeff in his studio and I saw, what's her last name?
Phillips.
Yeah. And I saw her poster and I go, oh, I love her. And Jeff was like, good day. She's before me. Like, she's before him or something. Like, I don't know if there's any kind of, but he laughed after, you know, I said that because I mean, the way she does these women, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. She's so good. But yeah, her doing Ramona, like Ramona will never learn. And it cracks me up because she's okay with it.
I just wonder like how she feels today. Like, to me, this is like, you should learn from this. I mean, there might be this other thing, but I don't think the money is going to be the same. And essentially, you've lost this, not to be negative, but this show is going on without you now, the actual incarnation. I
But
don't know.
is she still on the older, going to be still on the older one?
I don't know. I think, but the way I read it is like the first one, the new incarnation is going to happen
Oh
completely
yeah, all new
first.
people. But I think that's wonderful to put new people in this position, you know, and especially if it's going to be a real young person, you know, there's, what are they going to have in common, you know, and it's going to be, it's too, that's why I always used to say, like, I was so lucky to start SNL when they cleaned house and they brought in all new people. We all got to start together
Yeah.
and come up with each other and experience this all for the first time together. I think that's I think, you know, that needs to happen instead of throwing someone young and new into this wolf pack.
It's not going to work. Did Jeff get territorial when you mentioned Amy Phillips? Was he like, you're my guest?
No, no, because it wasn't like I was going to be on the show or anything like that. I just go, oh, I love her. And he was like, Gate. Like, I'm saying, he didn't say, Gate, that's me. That's what I do when I'm like, ooh. And then he laughed because, you know, she has a radio show too. But, you know, he's like wincing and then laughing.
You got to check out her. Meredith Marks is phenomenal. She does like a spot on Meredith Marks from Salt Lake. It is so spot on.
I am blown away by her ability. I'm blown away. And I'm so freaking entertained by it.
If you were gonna, before we wrap up, if you were gonna like and do any Housewives, I mean, I know you say you don't do impressions, but you've done quite a few now, Cheri, and they're all really good. Who would you choose to do?
When I sit and I listen to them, I'll sit and I'll be by myself and I'll repeat what they said as they would say it, you know, but you know, I wouldn't do an impression. Amy Phillips has got that tied up. But I'll sit and I'll repeat something that I hear them say because they say it in such a way that needs repeating. Like I crack up by like I repeat a lot of things Teresa said, you know. And love Beverly Hills.
We're gonna have Beverly Hills back in May. Atlanta's back in May.
I love Potomac, Atlanta. Like I love these women that, I mean, they are razor sharp tongue. They're doing things that are saying things that are awful, and they are not blinking an eye.